Hi everyone, this is Dr. Amina Aitsi-Selmi for another episode of Wise Wednesdays. Today I want to talk about something that differentiates us from machines, but also gives us the capacity for ideation that machines don't yet have. It's cycles of creativity and respecting the cycles of creativity that our brains need to function in their highest capacity. And I want to specifically talk about a particular element of the cycle of creativity. I work with 6 cycles when I'm working with my clients, and I help them go through these cycles and recognize which part of the cycle they're in. If you're a doer, if you're a high achiever, you'll tend to want to do things and be in action all the time. You'll have a bias for action. And that's great in some respects because you can implement very quickly and effectively. But it's not great when you're facing a complex situation. We live in a VUCA world that's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And constant action, constant doing isn't helpful in finding the right way forward when you're facing that level of uncertainty and complexity. So the part of the cycle I want to talk about today is the last part, and there are 6 stages. The last part is receiving. Even the word receiving probably evokes some discomfort or some notions about what receiving means. It might be a little bit uncomfortable, it might sound a bit strange. But receiving has been part of our human social activity for a long time. It's only in recent times that it started to be ignored. It was part of rituals around the summer harvest, for example, after the seasonal activity that we would have to undertake in order for the harvest to come about. We would celebrate that. We would learn to receive from nature the harvest that would then feed us and allow us to continue living. So how do we receive in today's day and age, in today's modern culture? Well, I propose 4 things that I discuss with my clients, and it seems to help them. And these are the 4 things. And I should just to be precise, this stage might come, for example, for you at the end of a project, or it could come at the end of an assignment, a job, a secondment, anything where you've gone through a certain set of activities and now they've come to an end, or they're starting to come to an end. And it's easy to miss this ending and to try and keep going and not recognize that it's the end. So, 4 aspects to receiving in today's modern work culture. Number 1, being patient. And what I mean by this is not expecting results immediately. It's nice to have an immediate result, but if you're in working the knowledge economy, if you're do research, for example, it may take a little while. I worked as a doctor and then I worked as a policy specialist, and it was easy to see the difference there in the timelines for results. But you may work on projects or programs with different timelines for results, and it's important to be patient because the end of the project doesn't mean the end of the results. The results may keep coming or may come much later. And being patient is important. Otherwise, what you might find is that you jump into the next project or activity without giving yourself a break because you want to see results immediately and you think that results are going to come through action. So being patient about results. Number 2, celebrating. Yes, it's nice. We think it's nice to celebrate, but it's actually very, very important to these cycles and rhythms of activity. It's important to acknowledge what you've done. It's important to acknowledge your commitment, your dedication, and acknowledge the same for the team if you've been working with a team. So don't forget to celebrate. Number 3 is letting go. Letting go and sometimes grieving, because when a project comes to an end, There'll be opportunities, there'll be relationships, there'll be hopes that maybe weren't fulfilled and that are gone. And this is probably the most taboo of these four, because it involves difficult emotions, and we don't like difficult emotions. They're not encouraged. We perceive them as getting in the way of productivity. But if you don't allow for this kind of process, it actually can build up and create tension and reduce your ability to ideate, to create, and to move into the next cycle. And finally, number 4 in receiving is integrating the lessons. Whatever you've done, wherever you've arrived at the end of a cycle of activity, at the end of a project or program, you'll have learned something, particularly from mistakes or failures, which we feel uncomfortable about and probably want to forget about. But those are where the richest learning can occur. And the concept of psychological safety here is important, because the culture around you needs to enable that. But even if it doesn't, you can take time for yourself to do that process and to reflect on what you've learned. It's also great to reflect on the successes, what went well and why did it go well. And this will help you in the next project. So those are the 4 elements of receiving that can easily get skipped over as people rush into the next challenge, into the next project, because of this frenzy of activity that we believe is necessary. But actually what's necessary for really genius-like levels of creativity and creation and productivity is to respect these human cycles and respect the brain and the body's way of working. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you'll take the time to receive and to respect your own rhythms. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for your attention, for your questions and your comments. Please keep them coming. Subscribe if you wish, and I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.